Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone. We are from fifth group. Let me introduce my group members. Start from myself. I am Luxpiana Faradila Prapasel, A1B219104 as a moderator for today's presentation. And my partners are Siti Ana Sartika, A1B219090, and Dwi Rahma Zulfatun Jannah, PMM 2100165. So today's presentation is about discourse and conversation. And the first material is about conversation analysis. And next slide, please. So for the first material will be explained by me. Conversation analysis is an approach to the analysis of spoken discourse that looks at the way in which people manage their everyday conversational interactions. It examines how spoken discourse is organized and develops as speakers carry out this interaction. It also looks at how social relations are developed through the use of spoken discourse. Conversation analysis has examined aspects of spoken discourse such as sequences of related utterances like adjacency pairs, preferences for particular combinations of utterances like preference organizations, turn taking, feedback, repair, conversational openings and closing, discourse markers, and response tokens. Next slide, please. So the next is about background to conversation analysis. After we know what is conversation analysis, we have to know the background. Conversation analysis originated in the early 1960s at the University of California, Los Angeles. And there are experts that Sachs and his colleagues said that an approach to the study of social action which sought to investigate social order as it was produced through the practices of everyday talk. Next slide. And the next is key issues and aims in the conversation analysis. A key issue in conversation analysis is the view of ordinary conversation as the most basic form of talk. For conversation analysts, conversation is the main way in which people come together, exchange information, negotiate, and maintain social relations. All other forms of talk in interaction are those derived from this basic form of talk. And the second is the primacy of the data as the source of information. Analysis, those do not incorporate speakers' reflections on their interactions, field notes, or interviews as ways of gathering information about the discourse. And the next is about the ends of conversation analysis, is to avoid starting with assumptions about analytical categories in the analysis of conversational data. And the second is to demonstrate how participants both produce and respond to evolving social context using conversational rather than contextual data as the source for the claims it wishes to make. So that is all from my explanation. The next material will be explained by Siti Ana Sartika. Siti Ana Sartika, time is yours.
Okay, Luke, thank you. And then here I will explain about the transcribing and coding conversation analysis data. So in conversation analysis, the transcription of the data is also the analysis. Texts are those recorded or either on tape or by video. The analyzed at the same time as they are transcribed. So the aims is to understand how speaker manage their conversational interactions. Okay, we move next to the transcription conventions. So, particular transcription conventions are used in the conversation analysis. The extract from sex and the city transcribed from a conversation analysis perspective. Here, the transcription conventions that are used in this analysis are based on the work of Jefferson, 2004, and are shown as a key to the analysis at the end of the conversation. Okay, here the conversation, and then I will practice this conversation. Here's Charlotte as a speaker. Say you're getting endangered. Okay, so this endangered as a K, like shift into a special high pitch, like mean that the endangered. Okay, and then we move to carry. I threw up, I saw the ring, and I threw up. That's not normal. Okay, based on the key, the time elapsed by tenths of a second between the end of the utterance or sound and the start of the next utterance or sounds. Okay, we move to the next speaker. That is the Samantha. That's my reaction to my range. And then Miranda say, what do you think you might do if he asks? I don't know, Carrie say. And then the Carol say, I just say yes. Okay, this for the symbol, it means that prolongation of the immediately prior sound. Okay, we move to carry. Well, it hasn't been long enough, has it? So in the well, it's we use the falling intonation, and then the and long enough, like we the time elapsed, and then in has it we rise use the rising intonation like has it. And then, okay, we move to Carlos. Trey and I got engaged after only a month. How long before you separated? Okay, here from Carlos to Samantha, this use symbol. This symbol it means that latches utterance, no break or gap between stretches of sound. So the Samantha taking a turn without pause. Okay, next we move to Charlotte. We are together, and that's what's the matter. When it's right, you just know. Okay, is the word now, it means that the stress. So like we speak with stress, and then the Samantha. Carrie doesn't know. And then the Carrie give a response like Carrie throw out. So it might not be right. So in this Carrie and Samantha, I use this symbol again, and then they taking a turn by no break in their conversation. Okay, and then we move to the next materials. And then the next material will be presented by Luke.
All right. Thank you, Anna, for your great explanation. So for the next material is about sequence and structure in conversation that will be explained by me. So a particular interest of conversation analysis is the sequence and structure of spoken discourse. Aspects of conversational interactions that have been examined from this perspective include conversational openings and closing, turn-taking, sequences of related utterances, preferences for particular combinations of utterances, feedback, and conversational repair. So let's move to the first one. The first one is about opening conversation. One area where conversational openings have been examined in detail is in the area of telephone conversation. Skeglove and analyzed a large data set of telephone openings to come up with the following canonical opening for American private telephone conversation. So let's move for the example of opening conversation in the next slide. So everyone, as you can see on the screen, there are two conversations, but I will explain to you the first conversation. So there are two speakers, recipient and caller, and every words that they said, there is identification of that words. So the conversation start with recipient said hello, and the caller said hi Ida. So the caller words we can identify as identification or recognition sequence. And after that, recipient said that yeah, and the caller respond, hi, this is Carla. And hi, this is Carla, it identifies as greeting sequence. And as you can see, guys, there is a large, there is no, it means that there is no silence between sounds and it can connect to a cross line. So after caller said, hi, this is Carla, the recipient should respond immediately, hi, Carla. And after that, caller respond, how are you? So how are you, we can identify as how are you sequence in telephone conversation. And recipient respond, okay. And caller said, good. And after that, recipient immediately respond, how about you? And the caller respond, fine. Then wanted to know. So caller the last words of caller set is we can identify as reason for call sequence. So guys, that's the example of the explanation of the first conversation. So for your further understanding, there is example from a radio call in program illustrates a further way of opening a conversation. So there are two speakers. For this example, I will not read the conversation alone, but with my partner. So announcer as will be as me, and the caller will be Anna. So Anna, are you ready? Okay. So I will start the conversation. For husband Bruce of 26 years, Carol has this dedication. So how are things going?
Absolutely wonderful.
That's great to hear you're still happy.
Oh, yes, very much so.
And what's your dedication all about for Bruce?
Well, we are going away tomorrow to the week Sundays, and I'm looking forward to it very much. And I know he is to for a break.
All right, so there is conversation, the second conversation, I mean, thanks for Anna for helping me. So in this conversation, the announcer opens the conversation by saying who is on the line and what the conversation will be about. that his utterance introduces the caller to the listening audience and readies the speaker for being on air for discussing the topic of the call. The middle stage of the conversation is devoted to the topic of the call, finding the dedication that the caller will make. The conversation ends when the caller has provided the dedication and all the information that was asked for, completed a syntactic unit, and employs falling intonation as a signal that she has completed her turn. The announcer does not take the opportunity to take another turn, but instead plays the music dedicated to the caller's husband as his way of closing the conversation. So that is all about the opening conversation. Let's move to the closing conversation. Next slide, please. So after we know opening conversation, we should know too about closing conversation. Skeglove and Sachs continue by Button. Telephone closings point out that telephone closings usually go over 4 turns of talk, made up of pre-closing and closing moves. The pre-closing is often made up of 2 turn units consisting of items such as okay and alright with falling intonation. So like okay, alright. The closing is made up of 2 further units such as bye-bye and goodbye. Button calls this an archetype closing. In this closing, both speakers mutually negotiate the end of the conversation. Closing may also be preceded by a number of pre-sequences such as the making of an arrangement, referring back, initiation, good wishes, restatement, and thanks for calling. So that is all about closing conversation. Let's move to the next slide. The next material is about turn taking. Conversation analysis has also examined how people take and manage turns in spoken interaction. The basic rule in English conversation is that one person speaks at a time, after which they may nominate another speaker or another speaker may take up the turn without being nominated. So there are a number of ways in which we can signal that we have come to the end of a turn. This may be through the completion of a syntactic unit, or it may be through the use of falling intonation and then pausing. We may also end a unit with a signal such as or anyway and etc. So the end of a turn may also be signaled through eye contact, body position, movement, and voice pitch. By contrast, we may hold on to a turn by not pausing too long at the end of an utterance and starting straight away with saying something else. We may also hold on to turn by pausing during an utterance rather than at the end of it. We may increase the volume of what we are saying by extending a syllable or vowel, or we may speak over someone else, attempt to take our turn. So everyone, that is all about my explanation for that material. So for the next material will be explained by Siti Ana Sartika. Siti Ana Sartika, time is yours.
Okay, for the next material, I will explain about the adjacency pairs. So, Adjacency pairs are a fundamental unit of conversational organization and a key way in which meanings are communicated and interpreted in conversations. So, adjacency pairs are occurrences produced by two successive speakers in a way that the second utterance and is identified as related to the first one as an expected follow-up to the utterance. The following example, again from a radio call-in program, illustrates a speaker using adjacency pairs in a typical and expected way. In each of the pairs of utterance in these interactions, the first speaker stops and allows the second speaker to produce the expected second part to the pair of utterance. Okay, here the speaker as announcer and the caller. Okay, for the first, for the announcer, um, maybe some of my group member can help me to practice these conversations. I think Lux, can you help me to practice this conversation?
Yes, Anna.
Okay. Here you ask the caller and I ask the announcer. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Let's start the conversation. Okay. Sharon Stone's on the phone. How are you?
Very good.
I bet you get puzzled about your surname.
Yes, I do.
And what do you want to tell Patrick?
That I love him very much, and I wish him a very happy birthday for today.
Okay, thank you, Lux. Okay, the arguments show a similar patterns in that On's point of view has been expressed. A possible follow-up is a challenge followed by a response. And here the example. Here the Rian say, I'm gonna have to get Peter to come over too. And then the Mary say, why? So people don't cross the party. And then here, as I explained before, the symbol it's mean that the next speaker taking a turn by no house here. Okay, this is the point of view of challenge response. Okay, we can move to the next material, which is the preference organizations. So the basic rule for adjacency pairs then is that when a speaker produces a first pair part, they should stop talking and allow the other speakers to produce the second pair part. Okay, there is, however, a certain amount of freedom in responding to some first pair parts. For example, a compliment can be followed by an accept or a reject. And then So some second pair parts may be preferred and others may be dispreferred. For example, a question may be followed by unexpected answer, the preferred second pair part, or unexpected or non-answer, the dispreferred second pair part. So when this happens, the dispreferred second pair part is often preceded by a delay, a preface, and or an account. Okay, here the example. For the first speaker, saying a questions like, "Are you going out with anyone at the moment?" And the second speaker is a delay in the sentence. Well, kind of is mean that the preface and then there is someone I met a while back, and this is sentence is mean the account, and then the actually I'm getting married at the end of the year. Here shows the unexpected answer. Okay, so in the below, the table 5.1 is the common adjacency pairs and typical preferred and dispreferred second pair parts by Levinson, 1983. You can see in this table for the pair parts and the second pair parts. Okay, for the request, the preferred is acceptances, and the dispreferred from the second pair parts is the refusal. And then for the offer or invite, the preferred is acceptances, and the second pair part is the dispreferred refusal. And then the assessment from the first pair parts, the preferred is the agreement, and then for the second pair part, the preferred is disagreement. And for the questions, the preferred is expected answer, and the second pair part is the unexpected answer or non-answer, blame. And for the blame, the first pair part, the preferred is denial, and then for the second pair part, the preferred is admission. Okay, that's all from me.
All right. Thank you, Anna, for your great explanation about those material. So everyone, for the last presenter for today's presentation will be Dwi Rahma. So for Dwi Rahma, time is yours.
Okay, thank you Kak Lux and Kak Siti. I want to explain the last material, feedback. The ways in which listeners so they are attending to what is being said. That is the example. And now I want to practice, but not alone. I want to practice with my partners, Kak Ana and Kak Luxvi. Kak Luxvi as lecturer and Kak Ana as Tadasi.
And the middle one is
Community.
Community. I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Community, yeah.
Yeah. Community friends. Friends community.
Okay. Thank you, Kak Ana and Kak Luxvi. That is the conversation to example. The next slide, please. The next material is repair. Repair is often drawn through self-repair and other repair. Other repair occurs where the error is apparent to the other speaker. This is the example conversation I want to practice with Luxvi as barista.
Michael is employed as an apprentice butcher.
Oh, not Michael. Owen. Okay, next slide, please. The next material is discourse markers. Discourse markers are items in spoken discourse which act as signposts cataphoric or pointing forward and cataphoric pointing forward of discourse coherence include there are three kinds. There is interjection of conjunction but adverbs now and lexical phrase you'll know. The first is information management. There are T-type, emotional, self-repair, and other initiated repair. The example of emotional, check, was that a serious picture? And Frida answered, oh, gosh, yes. And the example of self-repair, there was a whole bunch of oat. I was about younger than Robert. I was about maybe Joe, age 16. An example other initiated repair, check. How about the one did of a salesman? Frida? Well, that was a show. Sure. Check. Oh, that was a movie too. And the second, but reverse an idea. Check. The rabbit preached John intermarry. Frida. But I did say those intermarriage that we have in this country are healthy. Next slide, please. The third, now, there are two types, attention to an upcoming idea and comparison. The example of attention to an upcoming idea is, so I think for a woman work is entirely up there. If she can handle the situation. Now I could not now alone. The example of comparison is, it's nice there, and now our street isn't that nice. And the last, you'll know, kind hearer in a involvement and consensus. The example is, I believe that you'll know it's fair. So it just seems that's how things work. That's all about my explain.
All right, thank you for your explanation, Dwi Rahma. Okay, everyone, that is all about the explanation from discourse and conversation. So before we close this presentation, I would like to conclude the material as well. So, conversation analysis then provides a way of carrying out fine-grained analysis of spoken discourse, which can help not just describe the social world, but understand how, through the use of language, it is constructed. There are differing views, however, as to whether looking at the data alone is sufficient to explain what is going on in conversational interactions. Okay, everyone, I think that's all from my group. So, hope you guys understand about the material of discourse and conversation. I will close this presentation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And thank you for your attention, everyone.